It's time to play the music. It's time to light the lights. It's time to meet the Muppets for the Muppet Movie Marathon tonight. Wait, that's wrong. It's not the Muppet Movie Marathon. Welcome, everyone. My name is Matt, and I have 2 degrees, and we are back for another season? Sure. Installment of the Teacup for One Movie Marathon. And this month, it is kind of Muppets, but it's not just Muppets. We could have done Muppets. People have been saying, since I started this, do Muppets. Let's talk Muppet movies. I've always wanted to. I'm very pro Muppet. And also, I'm so thrilled that for the first time, I have an opportunity to wear this shirt. Look at it. Ooh. So many Muppets. Yeah, people have been saying, Matt, Muppet movies, we love them. And yes, I love them as well. But just to kind of switch things up, this is like a Muppet adjacent marathon. Welcome to the Jim Henson movie marathon. For the next 4 weeks, we're going to be discussing Jim Henson. Very much inspired by the fact that Disney Plus dropped an original documentary. I love when they do really good quality original content on Disney Plus. More of that, please. But also, Disney, since I'm sure you're watching this, keep it on there. Because some of your best content you took off. Because I guess you didn't want to pay the people who made it. I don't know. Anyway, this film, I thoroughly enjoyed it. It's directed by Ron Howard. It's a full, in-depth look at the life and the career of Jim Henson. So tonight, we're kicking off the marathon by talking about that movie, as well as the Muppet movie, the classic, the original. Is it the best Muppet movie? I do not think so, but you have to start somewhere. Let's see who we have in the comment section joining us today. It looks like my mom and our cats, starting with Sabrina. Sabrina loves the Muppets. They are cute. And apparently there are Muppet cats. Now, none of them were in the Muppet movie, but I looked it up. Sabrina's right. There are indeed Muppet cats. Rocky, I think he's from Sesame Street. Little Murray Sparkles. He's adorable, but he doesn't look the way you would expect him to. He's not that sparkly. Anyway, Eliza, the other cat, is here. She loves the Muppets. She watched the Muppet movie last night. Yes, Rainbow Connection is so good. Gaffer the cat. I don't know Gaffer the cat. And my mom's here. Who else is here? Let us know in the comments. Well, let's bring in our first guest for this evening. You know him. You love him. It's Vince, everybody. Hey, Vince.
Hey, everyone. How's it going?
It's going great. It's going good. Welcome to Muppet Month, Henson Month. Happy to have you.
Hey, thanks. It's good to be back.
We've missed you. What have you done since we last spoke? What's the highlight?
You guys know me. I go from town to town looking for mysteries, solving mysteries for a nominal fee. I've gone to Mississauga to explore the ghost of the Birdman. I've gone to I've gone to up north in the Yukon to see the ghost ship, the ghost ship Bachimo. So I've been all over. And it's a damn shame I missed out on Audrey Hepburn month, but I am here for Jim Henson, guys.
Happy to have you. Did you ever get to see any of the Audrey movies, specifically My Fair Lady, the most divisive of the Audrey?
No, but you know what? I really wish I saw the cowboy one.
Oh,
with Burt Lancaster.
Yeah, The Unforgiven. Or no, There's a difference. There's another movie that has the same.
One's a Clint Eastwood movie. That's what confused me.
That's what confused all of us, Vince.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, except for Alex. He's making a face. You know what? I mentioned Alex. Let's bring in Alex. Look, it's Alex, everybody.
Hey!
Alex, welcome. Well, sorry, we'll get to you, Alex, just for a second. I thought you were making a face, though, so I figured I should bring Alex into the discussion here. But anyway, Vince, I was going to ask, first off, have you encountered any haunted puppets or toys yet in your encounters?
Not yet, but you know what? I'm on the hunt for them. So anyone watching, if you know anything about any haunted toys in southern Canada, I'll go as far as Sudbury, but not a step farther.
Didn't you go to the Yukon?
Yeah, that was I had other business there, so.
Okay. That's the opposite direction, Matt.
Yeah, you're right.
Nothing to do with what he said.
Yeah, okay. I can see it. Vince, who's your favorite Muppet?
You know what? If you asked me a few weeks ago, I would have said Gonzo, hands down. Because, when I was a kid, I remember the episode of the Muppets where they find out Gonzo's an alien.
Oh, that's a movie.
I thought that's a movie? Okay, well, I saw that when I was a kid, and I loved it. It imprinted on me. But When I watched the first Muppet movie, Fozzie left such a strong impression that he is now my favorite Muppet.
Waka Waka. I
I,
love
I
Fozzie.
was all my life. I've been sleeping on the comedic genius that is Fozzie Bear.
Oh, Fozzie is great. Oh, we've got Yoda for Mark here, who's voting for Scooter. One of the most underrated Muppets, I would say. Scooter, big fan. I think also the more I've worked in theater, I empathize with Scooter as the person who's trying to organize things that no one is listening to. Yeah, I respect him. I respect that. Alex, who's your favorite Muppet?
Is Alf a Muppet?
No.
Is he a Jim Henson creation?
No.
Oh.
Oh.
An honorable mention, though.
It is. Oh, yeah. I think it's safe to say, were there no Muppets, there would be no Alf. But I'm fairly certain, without looking it up, that Jim Henson and his company and his creature shop had no hand in making Alf. I could be wrong, though. I'm going to look it up while Alex contemplates his favorite Muppet.
I mean, I was under the impression that a Muppet wasn't defined by being birthed of Jim Henson.
I think it is, though.
It was defined by being a combination between a marionette and a puppet.
The puppet. I think it's
Is the name trademarked?
Oh, I would bet my life that the name Muppet is trademarked. Absolutely.
Let's find out, people.
Hold on. First, we're finding out.
Matt.
Hold on. So wait, I'll look up if Alf is a Muppet. Vince or Alex, you can look up if Muppet is trademarked.
Okay. Using phone to research information.
Yeah, hold on. So it doesn't look like Alf was a Muppet, but based on what I think is a Reddit thread, Jim Henson was a fan and wanted to do a crossover. So Alf had like the Henson approval.
Yeah, Muppet's trademarked by Disney right now.
Yeah, it seems to be trademarked as games and playthings.
But then I wonder if there's like a patent on the Muppet style puppet.
I don't think there's a common design amongst the puppet.
I think there is. I think it's that. I almost feel like isn't a Muppet like the Rod puppet? Like you have your hand.
So is Big Bird not a Muppet?
Nobody's allowed to slice a basketball in half and use that as the head of a Muppet.
Not without paying a pretty penny.
Yeah.
The Henson family, who apparently still own most of the company, I guess. Oh no, but Disney owns it now, so never mind. Yeah, I'm sure they're sitting pretty. Alex, who's your favorite Muppet that's not Alf?
I don't remember them, so I'll pick one from this biographical picture. And I'll say Miss Piggy.
Miss Piggy's my favorite Muppet.
Well, what can I say?
She's a star.
She is a star.
She is a star.
In spite of herself.
I didn't think I could love Piggy anymore. And then they gave, like, Frank Oz gave the character insight about how she can't do anything well, but she commits. And I thought, I like, that's the heart of Piggy.
It's more so she can't do anything well, and so she hides her pain by being outrageous.
Oh yeah.
It's less endearing than the way you made it out to be. But
I guess I put my personal reading onto it.
Oh yeah.
Miss Piggy gives off a Mae West kind of vibe. Was there an inspiration there?
I'm not sure. I wouldn't be surprised if there was.
Who wasn't inspired by Mae West?
Exactly.
That's a good point.
Yeah, I'm excited for next week. Are either of you here next week? No, neither of you are here for next week. Oh, wait, I have to get guests for next week. That's just a note to myself. I only have one guest for next week. I need more people to watch The Great Muppet Caper with me. But next week is very much the Miss Piggy movie. And it's my personal favorite Muppet movie. And now that I'm saying it, maybe that's why I love Piggy so much, is because of The Great Muppet Caper. But we're not discussing that this week. We're discussing that. I'm discussing that next week. So rewatch and watch The Great Muppet Caper, because it's a fantastic movie and I love it. I enjoy it more than this film, the Muppet movie. So tonight we have a double bill programmed. We have Jim Henson Idea Man, the brand new documentary, and the Muppet movie, the not brand new movie featuring Muppets. Did you both get a chance to watch one or either of them? Let me see how we did with our homework.
Yes, I saw both.
Good job, Vince.
I think
Alex?
I think I oh
Oh yeah.
Oh, you already know the answer, Matt. So I'm not going to.
I want you to tell the people.
Oh, people. I watched Jim Henson, Idea Man.
Very good. That also explains why you had to pick your favorite Muppet from the doc. I get that. Vince, what were you going to say before I interrupted you to single out Alex?
So, like, here's the order I watched them in. I tried watching the Muppet movie first, and I fell asleep. I know exactly when I fell asleep. It was when Miss Piggy was reminiscing, like having this historical fiction romance flashback about Kermit, and it just knocked me out. And I fell asleep for the rest of the movie. And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna give this another shot later. I watched the documentary. I loved the documentary and I stayed awake for the entire thing. And watching the Muppet movie was so much easier after watching the documentary. I appreciated it in a new light.
Oh, I thoroughly agree. What I
Mhm.
loved about the documentary was that it made me so excited for what we're watching for the rest of the month, especially when we get to Dark Crystal and Labyrinth, which are two.
Yes.
Dark Crystal I've never seen, just because I tried and I couldn't do it. I watched maybe the first 5 minutes and thought, no, I am not. I don't
Mm.
want this. I don't want to watch this. No. And it sounds like that's what the critics thought too. So good.
You know,
Yeah.
yeah, that's interesting because I have a unique perspective on Dark Crystal. I've seen the Netflix miniseries that came out a few years ago.
Oh,
Never saw the original movie. I thought it was a standalone thing, and I loved it immensely. I thought it was really cool. Then I find out there's a movie. I never got around to seeing it, so this is the perfect opportunity.
I forgot there was a Netflix series. That makes me more excited to force myself to watch Dark Crystal, unless Netflix has pulled to Disney Plus and taken it down.
It's possible.
It is. I want to believe that they didn't, though. Yoda says apparently there's a podcast called Tough Pigs, and they discuss the Muppet movie 2 minutes at a time. I would be fascinated to hear that. I wonder if it's an hour-long discussion about a 2-minute segment.
That sounds like my cup of tea.
Okay. Oh, one vote for Kermit. Yes, Kermit. He's a classic. I love Kermit. So let's you know what? Let's talk about the Muppet movie a little bit before we start to dive into the documentary, because we have a few more guests who are going to be joining us a little bit later on, and I think the Henson documentary has more to dissect and dive into and discuss. And yeah, Muppet movie. Vince, what was you kind of gave us your first impression. What are your overall thoughts on it just as a movie? Do you feel like it's Muppet worthy?
Well, here's the thing. Up until watching this, my only exposure to the Muppets has been through Muppets Treasure Island.
Good.
Which, on VHS in the 90s, I remember that. And that one movie with Gonzo being an alien. So I've never seen the Muppet movie, never seen the Caper, never seen any of the other Muppet intellectual properties.
As someone who would just be a big Muppet fan, I don't know why you just give off Muppet vibes.
No, my love for I give off Muppet vibes,
Muppet fanboy vibes.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I think I've grown into that now.
Good.
So, but my love for Jim Henson came through Labyrinth and that Dark Crystal series a couple years ago. But Labyrinth especially, I rewatched that a lot on VHS as a kid. In the in the old VCR, as we used to call it. But what are we talking about? Okay,
the Muppet movie. Well, yeah. Now that you've seen it start to finish, what are your thoughts? Now you've had some time.
There's peaks and valleys, and when it's good, it's great, and when it's bad, it's tough. And the opening it's a rough opening in my opinion. Like, you know what? I like
or the real opening.
I like the false opening, but the real opening with Kermit doing the slow song, that was tough because it kept going on for a while.
It's
Then
so beautiful, though. Okay, go on.
Then Dom DeLuise saved it because that was a good cameo. I love Dom DeLuise and the entire DeLuise family. You know, he really birthed a series of good character actors on television. But anyway, I don't want to. That's my view. So look, it gets really good at times, and then the beginning's rough, but we can get into it
We
because I
can't.
thought all the cameos were fantastic.
Yeah, this is a movie that I couldn't appreciate or get into as a kid. And I'm very aware that I think that was shaped by the fact that Great Muppet Caper was like the only Muppet movie I owned on the VHS. And that was earlier than you existed, Vince. So VHS was like a more rare commodity when I was a very small child, like 5, 6 years old. That was when tapes still cost minimum like probably $30 to $40. Certain movies, the majority of movies, like you couldn't get on VHS. You had to strike a deal with the like video store owner and slide them some money under the table to just never return the video. And that's how I ended up with Great Muppet Caper.
When did you acquire the ability to record something off the television to VHS? Because that was a great workaround for me growing up.
Oh, it was. That was always around. My parents kind of knew how to do it. And as I got older and expressed more interest in certain movies, that became more common, I suppose. But yeah, Great Muppet Caper, we didn't have to copy. I just had it. It was so
fantastic.
Good. And then when I realized there were other Muppet movies, I thought, well, I've got to go see those. And the 3 main Muppet movies from the like peak Muppet era coming out of the Muppet Show, it started with not Great Muppet Caper, Muppet Movie, which some of us watched, the Great Muppet Caper, and then Muppets Take Manhattan. I don't care for Muppets Take Manhattan, nor I feel like they're, like you said, peaks and valleys. I appreciate the Muppet movie more now, I think, as an adult. I feel the humor lands a little bit more. I can appreciate the cameos, especially. But yeah, there are moments it definitely drags, like the Piggy fantasy sequence. Wasn't into that. I do love Rainbow Connection because I think the song is beautiful and it's just such a nice, simple moment seeing Kermit singing in that swamp. And yeah, it seems like a movie that I feel I should love because I like the optimism mixed with the pessimism of it. Like, yeah, I enjoy that. It has a cool meta quality to it, but it just doesn't do it for me. But yeah, moments in isolation alongside appreciating the artistry, I suppose, and just the sheer mechanics of how certain things probably had to be done in terms of the puppetry. Like I have another documentary on DVD. It's called Muppet Guys Talking, and it's Frank Oz and like all the classic Muppet performers just discussing what they had to do. And like they're talking about the campfire scene, how they had to dig out a trench essentially where all of them were buried into the ground. And then there was like a gasoline tank in the middle of them to get that fire going. So they were just kind of all sitting around this very makeshift, dangerous contraption that could have exploded and set them all on fire in the interest of getting the Muppets around a campfire. So kind of knowing and speculating how they had to do certain things, I super appreciate about the movie. But yeah, it's not ever going to be my go-to Muppet film. Yeah. Yeah. What was your favorite cameo, Vince?
Oh, okay. Look, I really like the Steve Martin cameo. Yes. And I really like the Orson Welles cameo. But I was so happy to see Richard Pryor because I love him so much. And I didn't expect him to be in this film. I thought it was great. I wish there was more of him. I thought Kojak was great. I wish there was more Kojak.
Mine is Madeline Kahn in the bar. It's so short but so hilarious. Wait, Alex, do you know who Madeline Kahn is? I feel like you do. Have you seen Blazing Saddles?
Of course I've seen Blazing Saddles.
So she's the girl, the saloon singer. Lily.
She's the girl who like ends up with the like guy.
Maybe I think there's only one main girl in that movie, and it's her.
I agree.
Yeah. So she's playing a very similar character. The Muppets go to a seedy bar, and she's talking to Kermit or something, and she's kind of hitting on Kermit, and then her boyfriend shows up, and he says, "Oh, is there a problem here?" Then she looks at him, and she's like, "Yes, he tapped me."
That was Kojak.
Oh, that was Kojak.
Yeah, Telly Savalas.
So good.
Did he beat up Kermit?
There is a bar brawl. And actually, Kermit does get thrown around. He gets like thrown to the ceiling fan, and then he circles all around. And then Fozzie ends up evacuating by putting on a fake beard and pretending to be the bartender. And he says, "Drinks on the house." And then everyone goes on top of the bar to try to find the drinks on the house.
Yeah, that was good.
That was good. Like that's one of the peaks. That's one of the hills in this movie. It's one of the better sequences, I feel.
The fork in the road. I had a really good chuckle about that. I loved that.
Fork in the road is solid. Oh yeah, so Alex, there's a part when Fozzie and Kermit are driving on their road trip, and then one of them's navigating, and it's like turn left at the fork in the road, and there's a giant fork in the road.
Oh my god, how could I? Sorry,
just asking if they turn left at the fork.
They do. Good. But how could I forget the Mel Brooks cameo? That was like, and you know what? There was the perfect amount of Mel Brooks. If there was any more of that, I'd be like, oh, this is going on a little long. But, you know, anytime Mel Brooks is making fun of Germans, I think that's top tier comedy. So, you know what? The movie had highs, and when it didn't have good cameos, it was a little boring. And here's a question. Is Animal problematic? Because that guy's chained up all the time. You know, he still seems to be a sentient human or a Muppet, a sentient Muppet.
Huh.
You know, like,
what's going on there? Animal was unchained.
I guess he would tear up all the furniture, but like...
See? You can't have that.
Are his handlers really providing for him the way he deserves to be provided for? You know?
So he doesn't seem unhappy.
Is he like a feral Muppet that was raised by wolves? Was he raised by Muppet wolves or real wolves? Because there's a distinction. There's a real chicken and there's fake chickens. There's human Muppets and there's human humans. So the deep lore of the Muppets is interesting to me, and I'm wondering if like they ever go into it at any point.
I would be fascinated to know that as well. I don't have an answer for you.
Was that like, you know how everyone talks about the unsolved equations on Einstein's desk when he died? Is it possible that on Jim Henson's desk there was like the deep lore of the Muppet world, his Silmarillion, if you will, that's just unfinished? Does it exist somewhere?
Of course. Well,
unlikely.
I think it's unlikely it exists. I would like to believe that in his mind he knew.
Yeah.
I'm sure there are like fan communities. Like I'm sure. So you certainly have all the Muppet properties that collectively form the, like, you know, the canon, the cinematic universe, et cetera, right? So it's like you have the concrete details that have been published that are part of the Muppets. So I'm sure you could actually like you could watch everything and you could develop a more or less strong picture of some kind of, you know, loreful world of the Muppets. However, it may very well lack those finer details that you're alluding to, Vince, of like, okay, well, what about like, does every Muppet get an origin story in the vast universe? I'm sure some do. I'm sure, you know, like, I mean, we saw in the you know, biographical film, we saw Kermit do an interview and talk about how he came from Jim Henson's mother's jacket or something like that. So we have Kermit's origination, you know, established. So, you know, but does every other Muppet have it?
Well, the thing that's really interesting that I've sort of pieced together and assumed about the Muppets is that their canon is not having a canon. Like those three movies that I mentioned, Muppet Movie, Great Muppet Caper, and Muppets Take Manhattan, they're very much all in their own universes. So it's almost like the Muppet canon is that they're all constantly performing, like they're playing even themselves.
Well, what if they're like Time Lords? You know, like Doctor Who style.
I was just thinking that because who delivered the original screenplay in the original timeline? Or is the original timeline a timeline without a screenplay that it's just like a dystopic universe, you know, like 1984, because Kermit could never get past that goalpost that he needed the fucking, or sorry.
Oh, 25 minutes.
I'm sorry for swearing in a review about the Muppets.
Hey, if you watch the biographical film, you'll know that the Muppets is very much an adult property.
It's true.
Yeah,
At least,
that's true.
especially
Jim
in
would be
spirit,
here for
in
it.
essence. Oh yeah.
Yeah,
I
You
can't.
know,
I can't wait
sex
to
and
talk about
violence
the
has
old
been
commercials.
abolished from film.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I could get on board with the Time Lord thing. Maybe it would justify why the Muppets look slightly different over the past few decades. Like for Piggy, I like to assume she just got some work done. It's very on brand for her. If you look at original Piggy, the nose is a little bit different. Maybe she's got like some brow work. Yeah, but she always looked good. She always
Oh
looked
yeah, hot
Yeah.
as fuck.
Yeah, exactly. Just because we can swear, Alex, doesn't mean we have to.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Hmm.
it's fine though. So yeah, let's well, we'll move away from the Muppet movie in a second, but we have discussed kind of the highlights. What was your biggest low light, Vince? Or have you told us, like, was it that moment that put you to sleep? The Piggy sequence?
You know what? I would say just before that, Miss Piggy's introductory song was the low point for me. And look, I don't hate Miss Piggy, but I don't think she's not my favorite. You know, something about the voice.
Hmm.
And I really appreciate that she knows karate and she kicks ass. And I think that's one of the high points of the film when she clears out that room full of bad guys. I thought that was good stuff.
It was.
But I don't know, her song and dance numbers, not the Muppet strongest for me.
Agreed. Yoda from Mark kind of seems to agree as well, saying that he wants to have I'm going to go back there someday, played at his funeral. I respect that. That's a beautiful song, but the Piggy song will not be sung at the funeral. Never before. Yes, because
I feel like I have I feel like I have to love this song now. If I
You do
ever
have
hear
to.
it or see it, I feel like it's my God-given mission on Earth to defend and apologize for this beautiful, brilliant number. All I mean, I do have. I don't know which particular song you guys are referring to, but both in the biographical film and in other like sketches and Treasure Island, like I've heard Miss Piggy a number of times and I dig it. Like I mean, I think it's
she
hilarious.
sounds better in other movies.
Like, well, no, but I mean, I think she sounds hilarious. Like I don't know if you're like it just sounds to me like you're complaining that she's like Vince is, in particular just is irritated by the like male falsetto a la
Yeah.
Mickey Mouse Miss Piggy hybrid. And that's valid. Like you're allowed to be physically, orally assaulted. But to me, it's like that's the hilarity. Like that's where that's the heart of the meme. It's like of course she's not supposed to sound good. That's part of the joke.
Yeah, I feel maybe the joke doesn't land for me because I agree with everything you're saying. I think the reason the joke doesn't land in this film is that the song is so somber that I don't know. I get that the humor is probably that it is a beautiful song that's being sung by a kind of ear grating voice. But since it is the full length of a song, that joke dies for me after maybe 20 seconds. And then I'm like, now I'm just hearing a song that hurts my ears.
Fair.
Yeah.
I could see that.
Yeah.
It's possible.
Moving Right Along is a great song, though. I think that's one of the musical high points of the film.
Moving Right Along and Rainbow Connection. I mean, I love Rainbow Connection, but especially Moving Right Along. I think we start off with two really strong songs, and then they get nice but kind of forgettable. I think music progressively kind of goes downhill.
Yeah, I'd also like to add that I was dumping on the Kermit and the Swamp song, but when they do it again as an ensemble piece at the end, I think it works a lot better. And I enjoyed it when they were building the set and singing that song.
But then the set gets destroyed.
Well, hey, all sets were made to be destroyed at some point.
It's true. Well, Vince, I'm curious to hear your thoughts on what you think that sequence, what the purpose is, what it means. And Alex, I'll kind of give you an idea of like how the Muppet movie ends as we go on this whole journey with the Muppets. And it's kind of the origin story of how they all meet along the way and come together as this like ensemble that decides, okay, we're going to perform together. Then they make it to Hollywood. They go to an executive's office who's played by Orson Welles. And they literally just walk into the office and they're like, hey, we want to be rich and famous. And then he calls the secretary and he says, Judy, or whatever her name is.
Cloris Leachman.
Cloris Leachman, get the standard rich and famous contract, please. And like, that's all it takes. So then they get all this money. They're going to make a movie. And then we suddenly see them on a soundstage where all of the settings, all the buildings, the locations that we've seen in like a very realistic setting have been recreated in a very like falsified Hollywood style. Like they're very much cardboard cutouts of the buildings and whatever. And then they're doing a montage kind of, and they're starting to shoot their film. But then Gonzo like bangs into one of the set pieces. Everything collapses. And like it's like they can't even start the movie really because everything has already gone to hell. But then the building crumbles, like the ceiling crumbles, and a real rainbow shines in. And then they sing Rainbow Connection, and then that's kind of the end of the movie. I think there's a lot of symbolism behind it. I don't know what it is. Again, for me, it reads as that beautiful marriage of pessimism and optimism that I like very much appreciate as a human being and a Muppet fan. But yeah, Vince, what did you think? Like, why did the movie end that way? Why couldn't they have just made their movie successfully? Why did it have to fall apart?
Is it possible that Jim Henson, it's a symbol of how his entire life Jim Henson just wanted to have his buddies make Muppets and like, they make money for advertising and stuff, and he just wanted to take this show on the road with these puppets, right? Then he becomes this big deal in Hollywood, and he finds out Hollywood's run by this secret cabal of like, anyway, I can't get into that. But yeah, it's like that's like the roof caving in over his head, and he realizes that all he has is this success, and his view of the world, his youthful innocence is no more. It's the hero's journey, really.
It's the hero's journey. That's beautiful, Vince.
I think you're both wrong.
What do you think it is based on my description of the
based on your description? It seems, I mean, I'm basing this entirely off of what was said in the biographical film, but he talks about like they literally have a point. I don't remember if it's his line or not. I'm pretty sure he talks about it as well, but they have a point in a line where it's like, if you don't know how to end something, blow it up or whatever. And that's like the Muppet motto. So I think that's just that. It's as simple as Jim Henson thinks it's hilarious to blow things up, especially Muppets, but buildings will do. And I think as what we saw of what I saw of Jim Henson's work in that film, he was very much into quote unquote absurd sort of concepts and humor, and just doing things in a either a non-literal or in a just outright ridiculous fashion. So having a rainbow pierce the ceiling of this disastrous context, and have them go from their goal being shattered to jumping into song, I think fits the bill for his MO, his absurd sort of comedy.
All right. I like that.
I think there's some wisdom to that.
There's some wisdom to that. I want you to watch the movie, Alex, and then weigh in again. Actually, no, I want you to watch Great Muppet Caper. If you're only going to watch one Muppet movie. Oh, yeah, it's the best one. Anyway, let's bring in our next guest for this evening, everyone. She's a classic. You know her. You love her. It's Lisa.
Hi.
Hi, Lisa.
Hey.
What's on my shirt?
Oh my God, it's so Muppet.
It is so Muppet. I also have a Kermit hat, but I'm going to layer in more and more Muppets.
Oh, I want to see the Kermit hat.
Yeah, it's in my car. Alex saw the Kermit hat. I found it in my storage unit this weekend. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Oh, actually, Yoda for Mark brings up a good point. How many songs are there about rainbows per Rainbow Connection? I can only think of Over the Rainbow. That's not the game, so we can freely discuss.
There are probably many songs that include the word rainbow in it.
Yeah, the Rainbow Road theme from Mario Kart.
True.
Yeah.
But again, to what extent? I mean, that's an interesting question. But in general, the question is like, are we considering songs that are, more or less about rainbows?
I think it is. I think rainbows have to be a theme per Kermit's lyric. The lyric is, why are there so many songs about rainbows and what's on the other side? Rainbows
but even that, okay, yeah, I guess the song starts that way, and then it comes back in the chorus with he says Rainbow Connection, yeah? Or is that the only time he says the word rainbow?
No, he says rainbow a lot. Well, I was gonna recite the whole song for you.
Oh, okay. Well, I saw a bit of it in the biographical.
Oh, okay. So you know, rainbows are fixed, but only rainbows have nothing to hide.
Yeah, but eventually stopped singing about rainbows, I think. But
yeah.
Anyway,
yeah. There it is. Yeah.
What was the first question?
The first question. Oh,
what
yes.
was your favorite Muppet?
Favorite Muppet.
Oh, Kermit. Kermit.
You're the only one who said Kermit. Actually, my mom also said Kermit, but you're the only one on screen that said Kermit.
Oh, I love Kermit.
Lisa, you should
Kermit's
guess. You should guess our favorite Muppet.
I know Vince's.
Who? Do you though?
It's the bear. It's the Waka Waka bear.
Oh yes.
Yeah, because we were watching the Muppet movie and he felt very seen by this bear.
Yes, Fozzie.
Yes. And then Alex. I would say, I feel like you would say like you don't have a favorite Muppet because favorite is like such a thing.
That's great. I didn't do that one today, but
you didn't do that today.
Oh, you didn't do. So you actually do have a favorite Muppet?
Well, no. I just didn't do the whole like I don't like the favorite question spiel.
Okay,
but I didn't. I also
he got to a definitive answer very quickly. I was impressed.
I mean, definitive for the context. The context being I don't remember the Muppets that I've seen, so I'm just going to pick one from the biographical film, like the Henson Idea Man film. And I just picked one based on those. So yeah, you think of who do you think I would like the most or whatever from the
bio?
The
bio. Oh shoot.
Yeah. There's another hint we can give you that may or may not help you.
The other hint is that it's the same answer that I gave. Alex and I share the same favorite Muppet.
Yeah.
And there's another hint. It's not Alf.
That's right. You might think Alf.
Is it Gonzo?
No.
It's not Gonzo.
Is it is it on your shirt?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's on the shirt. Why'd you stand up, Matt?
Not Gonzo.
Why'd you stand up, Matt? You didn't have to stand up.
Is it animal? Do you guys like animal?
No.
I mean, I think I like the name.
You're not a Miss Piggy fan,
yes. I love Piggy.
Why not? Miss Piggy's great. She goes around beating people up.
I literally was like thinking, I was like, there's no way these people will love Miss Piggy.
She's hilarious.
Piggy's hilarious. She's a fashion icon. She knows her
insecurities with violent behavior. It's perfect.
She's not for me. she's not for me. Although I will say I found this funny meme for any Chapel Roan fans out there. Chapel Roan is like this pop,
like Chaperone, but
Chapel, like Chapel, like Chapel. Chapel Roan. She's like a pop singer, and she's like very like she dresses up in drag, very high femme, lots of sparkles, and she's like dressed up with a Miss Piggy nose to an award show. And ever since then, people have just been collecting photos of like them looking alike, and nobody's ever seen them in the same room together. So clearly they're the same person.
That's Miss Piggy's
real life. Yeah. But I do love the idea that like puppets, humans have Muppet energy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Matt knows exactly what you mean.
Yeah.
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 I'm referencing your conversation with Vince earlier.
Do you guys were you talking
Matt accused Vince of heavy Muppet energy.
No. That's a different thing. I think that's a different thing. I said that Vince strikes me as someone who would be a fan of the franchise and the characters overall. I feel like what Lisa is saying,
you worded it closer
everyone has
to
a
what
Muppet
Lisa
that meshes with their personality.
I know what you mean, Matt. Yeah.
No, I'm not talking about every Muppet. Like every person has a Muppet.
Yeah, you're wrong.
That's not what I mean. Exactly. I mean, like you know the energy of a Muppet.
Yeah, the energy of a Muppet.
Kermit is like all flaily.
Exactly.
And like when Big Bird is not a Muppet, but like when he walks, he's very like it's a puppet.
Yeah, it's a Muppet. And some people have that kind of energy.
That's the energy that some people have.
Oh, okay, I got you.
Yeah.
I still feel everyone has a Muppet counterpart. That's a separate thing, then. But yeah.
Well, who would your Muppet counterpart be?
Can Matt really? Is he the best person to ask who his counterpart would be?
Yeah, I think it's up to others who know people to assign their Muppet.
Yeah, you can't pick your own. It's like the opposite of, well, or not the opposite. It's like Harry Potter.
Yeah,
The
it's
exact
Sorting Hat
same.
kind of
You know,
thing.
you can't pick the wand picks you.
But you can pick your own house.
Well, kind of.
Not
You
kind
can-
of. If you ask the
gotta
hat,
manifest it.
No, but the hat picks it. You can, at
the
most
hat
you can
takes your request into consideration, though.
Yeah, sure, but that doesn't mean that you picked it. The hat picked it.
Okay.
It just picked
So-
it based on your
So, like with Vince, I would say your Muppet is that guy from the band. You know, with the silver.
Oh yes, Dr. T.
I know you want it to be Waka
Waka Waka.
Bear. What's his name?
Ozzy.
Ozzy.
or Rolf. You know, I love Rolf.
The basketball dog.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what? You could be. Yeah,
Yeah.
you got that Tom Waits energy.
Rolf. I can
But I
see
feel
it.
like
Thank
you're
you,
more
darling.
high energy as that that band lead guy.
I appreciate that. I like that character too. Kind of the unsung hero of the film.
Yes.
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 He's the only one that thinks to read the script.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, and you would read the script. You would.
That's a
read
good
the
point.
script.
You would read the
Oh,
script.
that's a good point, baby.
Yeah. Alex.
I already know my Muppet.
Who is it?
There's only one right answer.
No, there's not.
There is.
Is it
There
Miss
is.
Piggy?
This has been
You wanna be
decided.
Miss Piggy?
I can see Sam Diego.
Oh yeah, I see that.
You know what? That's wrong.
I see that.
That's wrong.
Sam the Eagle. Actually, I don't think Sam the Eagle was in the Muppet movie, but like if you've seen Muppet Christmas,
He was.
Oh, was he?
He was in the audience.
Oh, the audience, right.
Yeah.
Who?
The one right answer is Bert.
But that's not a Muppet. That's
The
a Sesame Street character.
They're all Muppets.
It's a Jim Henson property.
He's a Jim Henson.
So
product.
it could be a Jim Henson thing. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, why isn't Bert a
Wait,
Muppet?
So what are the
Did Bert
the
never make an
are
appearance in a Muppet movie?
I don't
so
know.
Go ahead.
those are Muppets in the Labyrinth? Can we call them Labyrinth?
They're part of the
like
Jim
those
Henson
characters?
universe.
I'm liking this. Beaker is Alex. Yeah.
Which one's Beaker?
Which
I
one's
think Bert.
One
You're
is
Bert.
Yeah, I'm a Bert. That's
Yeah.
it.
Okay.
One of the old men. One of the old men.
Oh yeah.
Not yet. You're not aged
Not
up
there
yet.
yet. But yeah.
When you get to like being 70, 80, you can be one of them. Yeah.
Who's my Muppet?
You give off like some Gonzo vibes.
Interesting. Okay, I'll take
Yeah.
it. I like Gonzo. I like
That beautiful song that he sings at the campfire.
Yes, the one that Yoda for Mark once played at their funeral. Gonna go back there someday. And also, yes, this lyric so beautiful. There's not a word yet for old friends who just met.
Matt, stand up so I can look at your shirt.
Okay.
Huh. Who's that big-nosed fella?
That's
Gonzo. That's Gonzo.
Oh, okay.
I do think you give off Gonzo energy, and I love Gonzo.
I love Gonzo for the chickens.
The chicken, I know the chicken.
The chicken in this movie, I forgot how hilarious the chicken. Well, I never forget how hilarious the chickens were. I appreciated the chicken hilarity even more in this film when Gonzo like compliments either another woman or a chicken, then the chicken like looks at him hurt. He's like, "Bah! No, I still love you." Bah. It's so funny. It's so good. I love the chickens. Who's Lisa's Muppet?
Oh, the hippie girl in the band.
Janice? No. Maybe Scooter, but I also I still feel like I'm Scooter. I kind of feel like I'm Scooter.
Who's the bright red one? Is that Animal?
Wow. You think I'm Animal? Get the fuck out of here, Alex.
I mean,
What? You don't want to be Animal?
No, nobody wants to be Animal.
Why not?
Because all he does is scream.
I like how
Well,
I picked the most composed Muppet and you picked the most chaotic Muppet, Alex.
I didn't even pick him up. I just asked a question.
Who's Scooter?
Scooter's the one who he's the band's manager in this movie. Is like, oh, we can't go anywhere without him. Oh, why? Does he keep you organized? No, it's his van.
Oh,
With the glasses, and he's like the stage manager for the Muppet.
that's a very producer type thing. Yes.
Yeah.
Or the scientist, the one that goes.
Oh, that's Beaker.
That Beaker, yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like I could be a Beaker.
Oh, Bitchin' Boutique is apparently an animal fan.
This animal abuse.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
Is that like a roast on me? I don't understand.
I would be happy to be Kermit. I do love Kermit. I think Kermit is more composed than I. Actually, no, Kermit has his outbursts. Never mind. Maybe I am Kermit. Who's to say? Who's Bill the Bubble Guy? Don't remember Bill the Bubble Guy. Anyway, let's talk about the documentary. Let's talk about Muppets enough. Let's talk about Jim, the person who kind of created the Muppets alongside a bunch of other creative folks as well. Did everyone get a chance to watch Jim Henson Idea Man on Disney?
Yes.
Yes. Wonderful.
It kind of ruined my life, but yes,
What?
I did.
Why?
Because I loved it so much, and we can get into it.
Yeah, let's do it. Well,
That was almost sarcastic. I'm
No,
ready for it.
sorry. No, okay. So I didn't know much about Jim Henson prior to watching the documentary. And so I was watching, I was like, wow, like he is like such an artist. Like he's such an auteur, I would say, because like he was so passionate about his craft, and he was like always working to the point of detriment to his family and his marriage, whatever. So I kind of like related to that.
Whatever.
Like I get that. I totally get that. And I guess the way it ends with his death, it's like just so sudden and so abrupt that like it kind of sent me into like an anxiety spiral that I'm currently having as an artist of like there's just so much to do and so many things to create, and like you don't want to pause your schedule for any reason at all. But like if you don't take care of yourself, toxic shock syndrome is going to get you. So really just riding the wave of like existential dread from it all, because he was honestly gone too soon. But like the way that his family talks about like what the doctors told the family afterwards of like if he literally just went a few hours earlier when he told his wife or his ex-wife, I don't want to change my schedule, let's just ride it out, like he could have still been alive. And I think that's just so devastating, and a good lesson to all artists everywhere.
Yes, take care of yourself.
Please take care of yourselves.
It was so interesting to me. Well, lots of things. I also loved the movie. It left me both feeling really sad, but also creatively inspired in a way that I thought was dead in my soul. So that was really exciting. But what I thought was really interesting were just the parallels between Jim Henson creatively and how his drive impacted his life and his personal life, and the parallels between him and like other I guess Steve Jobs. The people that came to mind for me are like two other folks that I find very interesting and creatively inspiring. And one of them is Houdini, and the other one is Walt Disney, who kind of did the exact same thing. Well, Houdini specifically worked himself to death in a very similar way. Like his death probably could have been prevented or postponed a little bit, but his whole thing was, I'm not going to cancel any of my shows. Also, my appendix hurts, but whatever, that'll go away. And then like it didn't. And then it did go away, but he did too.
Everything else went away. Yeah,
he died. Yeah. And then Walt Disney, in terms of, he didn't work himself to death. It was cancer, but that came from him smoking, potentially because of all the stress from work. But
yeah, like just even if he wasn't a smoker, I'm sure like cancer.
It would have. So like he didn't stop. He kept going.
Yeah.
And with him, it was also very much the same thing of like dying at a point when there were so many other things that he wanted to do before he actually had a chance to see them through. Granted, his next project was creating an isolated community that scares me. So like, not to say I'm glad he died, but like, Henson, I would have preferred to see the things Henson would have done if he stayed with us. Yeah.
You're saying Henson.
Henson.
It's
Henson. Yeah.
The Henson brothers?
Henson brothers. Yeah.
Anyway,
Alex, what are your first impressions of the movie?
I really enjoyed it. I came in pretty ignorant, similar to Vince in terms of my previous Muppet exposure. I believe Treasure Island was the only kind of movie that I grew up with, and I did watch it, I think, a couple of times, like more than once, but it had been very, very long time since then. And yeah, so being like, it was a fascinating watch, like I was very interested in the subject matter, and very yeah, it was very interesting just to learn about the facts of, like, it was interesting to learn about how I guess prolific the Muppets were in terms of like the different things that Jim Henson tried to do with them, and the different genres that they occupied in terms of like adult content and children's content. So that was interesting. And then, and of course, him as a person and as an artist and creative individual was interesting. And yeah, and it was fascinating because the documentary kept bringing up this idea that he always wanted to do a bunch of things, and he was always kind of juggling multiple projects in his head while he was working on one. But at the same time, all it really shows us of him doing, with very few exceptions, is his work with puppets and Muppets.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like, it was just interesting to it's interesting to see and to kind of think about him as this person who seemingly never quite settled in his mind on his purpose as a Muppet guy, and yet he spent so much time and gave so much. And it's interesting to me because I'm somebody who very easily, like, if I'm not interested in what I'm doing, then I'm very much inclined to just not put a lot of effort into it. And I have to, I have to, it's yeah, like, so, so seeing somebody who allegedly is not perfectly kind of lined up with his passions and his motivations, but yet still strives for, if not perfection, just, such enthusiastic and productive achievement. That's a really interesting thing to me that I was fascinated by. Yeah. And so no, I really enjoyed it. It definitely made me want to check out the like Muppet television series, like the more adult centric stuff.
Plus, some of it.
Okay, that's interesting. Why not all of it?
I'm actually not entirely sure. Kind of the Muppet series is certain seasons, I think, are considered lost media. Not like it's literally lost, but it's just never been released for public enjoyment post the original airing. Because back in the day, even before Disney bought them in, like, when was that, 2010 or so, or maybe earlier, when Muppets were owned by somebody else, maybe even the Henson, the Jim company, they were releasing seasons on DVD, and they only got up to season 2 or 3 out of 5. And so, like, on all the Muppet message boards, they started saying, "Oh, when's the rest of it coming out?" And then it seemingly never did. And I think maybe only as many seasons as were released on DVD or what's on Disney Plus, or either that, or like certain episodes didn't make it to Disney Plus. Either way, yeah, it's this whole lore thing.
Yeah, Disney's always been weird too, though. Like, or not, like Disney has been weird in terms of like, it's Disney Vault thing and that kind of stuff in terms of like gatekeeping content in strange ways or unique ways. So
yeah, well, it used to be to make money. I'm not sure what the logic would be necessarily anymore. Like the whole Disney Vault thing.
Yeah.
It was very much
still weird. I meant weird, not in like a nonsensical, but weird in like just leaving the consumer more or less unsatisfied.
Oh,
like,
definitely.
Just not
like
just
the
not.
The Vault, I understand like clear cut
Yeah.
why that was, because it was like every 7-year cycle, get more money from the next generation. Whereas when it comes to things like why can't we see this Muppet content? Why?
Yeah.
Vince,
very strange.
Vince, what are your thoughts? What are your openings?
Well, that stuff, I don't know, that stuff with the lost Muppet content is very interesting to me. What if there's like secret messages embedded in like this lost media? Not ancient.
Hey,
I didn't say ancient.
Orwell says that he has a line in the documentary saying that Muppets are like an ancient art form or something to that effect. He uses the word ancient.
That's a very interesting idea. You know, what if we're dealing with characters that like go back
ancient archetypes?
Ancient archetypes. Someone call the History Channel. This is great stuff.
Someone call Only Time Will Tell, I think.
Yeah.
I've got an idea in my head
going.
as we speak. Yeah. Let's create a crisis. But no, look, I really enjoyed the documentary. It was heartbreaking at times. You know, I feel like his decision to not see a doctor was heavily influenced by his serious religious upbringing, right? Like that's clearly a big factor, right?
They make a point of saying that he was not a Christian scientist.
Yeah,
he's not supposed to be especially religious. He was
spiritual.
Yeah, he was described as this. Yeah.
This apprehension towards modern medicine seemed to be ingrained in him from a young age. Maybe he didn't believe the Jesus stuff, but I don't know. I mean, maybe if he just didn't, maybe if he had a different set of parents, he would have been okay. Who knows? But it's the same could be said for so many folks.
It's also coming from like his family, so they don't want to paint him in a bad picture. So I don't know if we actually have an accurate description of how he was.
That's a very good point. Very much like the Muppet film, we're dealing with an unreliable narrator here.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, it depends on. I mean, Ron Howard made the film, and I'll be damned.
Like he can only work with the information they're willing to express.
Richie
sitting in that chair.
Yeah, of course.
Richie Cunningham,
a documentarian. But
I think when you work with the family of the subject matter who is no longer around to advocate for themselves and defend themselves, I feel like their family is going to like try to, in the best of their ability, paint them in a good light. You kind of see that with Elvis. Like, if I wish Ben was here because like the way I know Elvis is not the way that it was fully portrayed in Elvis with Austin Butler, because there were a lot of drugs and a lot more abuse allegations that like they didn't cover because they were like talking with Lisa Marie and Priscilla Presley. So I can imagine like when they were talking about like the marriage and how it was like amicable and like their separation was, and the kids like it was okay. Like they saw, I'm like, I am a child of parents who did their best and I still have trauma. Like these kids are not okay with their father being Jim Henson. Like, I don't care how much you paint the picture of like he was a great dad. He was a working man who like cared about his life so much that this is like, I don't fully trust the narrative of him as like in his family life. And it does a disservice, I think, because I mean, we can get into like the artist's life in relation to like their family and like their personal life. Cause like that does affect it if somebody is like so obsessed with their craft and is neglectful of their family, which I don't know, in between the lines I'm reading, seems like he was. But that's not how they painted it. And I'm sure Ron Howard tried to get to the meat of it all, but when you're dealing with their children, you can't get the full truth of it. So yeah.
No, it definitely felt like they were glossing over certain things. Like there was one specific moment when they where they said something about how, when he got really successful, he started dressing differently and he started to act a little bit different. I thought, okay, tell us more. And then it just kind of deviated away. And it felt like just enough acknowledgement to acknowledge it without giving us the full details and like a whole other set of stories.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like when he was dying, how like they said his ex-wife went to the hospital and they had a conversation. It was like leading up to what was said in that room. And they were like, no, it was a private conversation. And I'm like,
and why even tell us they had it?
And why even tell? Exactly, Matt. Like, why even why tell? You're painting us a story that they were two people who had a full life together, got divorced, separated, and were still amicable. and probably had an amazing last conversation before he died. But maybe that wasn't the case. Either way, if you're not going to tell us, don't tell us it happened.
I don't know if I agree with that, but
I don't know. I think it's bullshit.
Yeah. I do totally agree. Like, obviously, this film was made. Like, it seems clear to me anyway. It seems obvious to me that it was very purposefully made to celebrate Jim Henson.
Yes.
It wasn't made to be like a full, comprehensive investigation of all the sides and facets of his life, right? So I'm like it's it seems like there's a I don't know, a piece of common sense around that, like if you dig enough in anybody's respective life, you'll find shit, so like it's not, it's, I don't think this seemed very clearly, it's like Jim Henson, super influential, let's interview his loving family, the people who worked with them that have nothing but good things to say. Like, we didn't get anybody, like the most like the most negative stuff we got were like the wishy-washy things where like his son was like, yeah, they were arguing and that wasn't so fun.
And it was my birthday.
Yeah, and it was my birthday, right?
Yeah.
So it's like that's the kind of like borderline stuff that we got. So yeah, so I think that's totally fair. Like, it's not like, yeah, I think they base it on testimony and certain facts of the matter, but it's very much purposefully designed to just be a celebration and not an actual like Jim Henson. Who was he really? It was more like, no, Jim Henson, he did all these great things. Let's talk about the great things he did.
Yeah. Yeah, I suppose. I mean, I just think because they grazed the surface of like the complicatedness of being such a lauded over artist, a popular artist, and the challenges that poses in his life, I was like, I want the truth, because like at the end it ends with, yeah, he did not take care of himself and he died way too young. So I'm like, okay, that was and like they sprinkle that in throughout. Like, I remember there was, I think it was his son. Interesting that it's his son that keeps saying these things of like, yeah, like he didn't like take care of himself. Like, he would like just work so hard that he would come home and like he couldn't do anything because
collapse, break down.
And like he was burnt out. And
no
I'm like,
time with the family. Yeah.
I'm like, I want like I think there's I think you can still celebrate someone and still like not like as like a warning to other folks, but like just like have a truthful not examination or investigation, but like a truthful telling of like, yeah, he was amazing, but he was also human and like he had faults, and like let's talk about those faults, because there are current artists, young artists who are like following in his footsteps, and like they don't need to do the exact same thing that he did. Like maybe he's not the person that we need to aspire to be as artists, or like other people should mirror, even though he is amazing and wonderful. Like, there are aspects of his character that are like, yeah, maybe you should go see a doctor, and maybe you should have like, a healthy work-life balance. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I think
was the affair mentioned in this documentary and I missed it?
Yeah, an affair?
No, an affair. I didn't realize there was an affair.
An affair.
I mean, they mentioned that he wanted to start dating, but I think they framed it as though that was after they separated.
What if it was a Muppet?
Oh my god. It was a Muppet-like person.
A person like, yeah. They did say something. I remember in the documentary. I remember they said, like, they introduced his wife, and they started talking about them, like, and their working relationship and when they met and stuff. And I understood it to be a story of how like they met and then got together. Mm-hmm. And then he jumped to like, I was going through young people things. I was breaking up with my girlfriend at the time. And I was thinking, wait a minute, wasn't your girlfriend at the time Jane?
Your wife? Oh,
like
right.
Like, so I don't know if that was some like some misunderstood reference to like an affair situation.
Yeah, like,
or
thinking back, I feel the timeline of their relationship and the details of their relationship is something I would have liked more information on. And it almost feels like, as much as the family was trying to protect him, they may have also been trying to protect her. Like, there were certain moments where it felt like the perception they were giving me of Jim's wife, whose name escapes me. Was it Jane?
I think it was Jane, but
Yeah, when they were saying, "Oh yeah, well, personally they weren't in a great place, but she was always supportive." She was like, "We're getting a divorce, but also you need to do this professional move." I thought this feels a little too idealized. Like I suspect it wasn't.
Yeah.
I suspect she wasn't as supportive as you're making her out to be, because well, maybe it's just me. If I was in that situation, I would not be that supportive.
Well, also, like, they spoke about how she was the one who, like, initiated the separation, because she was like, I'm not just your wife. Like, I'm not just these kids' moms. I'm my own artist. And yet I, because of patriarchy, like, have fallen into this role of doting wife, doting mother. And, like, actually, I still have my craft. I still have my personhood. I need to not be in this relationship. And I was like, I love how eloquent that was, but probably it was a little messier than it's like I want to know, like, that actual struggle, because I think there are a lot of artistic couples out there who fall into these situations where, you know, the woman or one of the partners falls into taking care of the household and taking care of, like, children, and it's like, how can it actually be more of a balanced life than if all falling on the shoulders of one person? And in a heterosexual couple, usually the woman. Yeah, I don't know. I wanted to know more about Jane. Like, Jane seemed like
I had no idea Jane was who
Yeah.
Jane was until this movie, and the idea of her interests me so much. And I want the Being the Ricardos movie, but like done well, but for them.
For this, yeah.
It bears mentioning that Jane was present in the movie as well. She some of I don't know if she was ever on camera. I don't remember. I was confused about that at certain points, but I know her voice. They used vocal recordings of her, but in the context of the film, right? So she was clearly interviewed to answer questions about Jim.
Yeah, and we see her speaking at the funeral, don't we? I'm assuming.
I think so. I think that's her. But yeah. So yeah, that bears mentioning. And I would say too that person, like, so I mentioned Steve Jobs, but who's another actually who has a very similar kind of superficial story, in the sense that Steve Jobs was also, like, I read one of the biographies of Steve Jobs, and that's what I would say. I would I would say that I don't mind that this movie did what it did, because like I said, for me, it was pretty obvious what it was trying to do. And it was just like a Disney produced, Ron Howard made, like, fun movie celebrating this person's achievement. And I think there's still room for, whether it's a written biography that gets into a much more deep nitty gritty, or a movie or another documentary that's kind of focused on that. I think there's room for kind of all the things to exist. But yeah, like Steve Jobs, and there's tons of examples. I mean, Matt, you already mentioned a couple, but like Steve Jobs literally had, like, very much like workaholic, and also died, as far as I remember. He very much died because of his adherence to his fruitarian diet. Yeah, he went for I don't know how many months only eating fruits.
Oh my god!
And it messed up some organ, and it eventually led to his death. I mean, I might be conflating. It might be he got very sick from that, and then later on had different problems that, like, weren't helped by his fruitarianism and stuff. But see, he basically, he also was somebody who stubbornly clung to things in spite of common sense, or medical wisdom, or health concerns, right? He was not, I mean, granted, when he was being a fruitarian, he got in his head that it was like a pro health thing, but people need more than just fruits. But but anyway, so this is a very common thing, though, and that's kind of how I interpret. I mean, I'm not sure if this is something that you guys are uncertain on, but for me, it was pretty clear that the story of Jim Henson's death was, he was like, it was the story of his life, i.e., he was committed to his work and made no exceptions. And so when he started feeling ill and suffering symptoms, instead of being concerned about that, he was more like, that doesn't matter, work matters. And he did that just a few days or a few hours too long, and died for it. And like just like you guys were saying, like not that I think there's some tremendous risk of a number of artists getting pneumonia and dying, but I do think it's a pretty prevalent thing of this mentality of I have to hustle at the expense of my health. And I think that's a very kind of important message to kind of get out there, to what you were saying, Lisa, of like, yeah, health is very important. But it also begs the question, because so many of these great creative people and successful people have these similar stories, whether or not they die, whether or not their relationships fall apart. They have these similar stories of being so absolutely dedicated, to one thing at the detriment of other aspects, whether it's health, family, love, etc.
I'm gonna respond to what you said, Alex, because I agree with
point
you.
By point. No.
Point by point.
Yeah.
But Jane died in 2013, so those voice clips were probably from old interviews.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Because I guess this none of this.
Because this is like 2024 documentary.
Okay, so that may So but there. So I guess I don't know. I'm utterly ignorant in all that.
I don't know.
I would assume that they were clips from other interviews then, like older.
Yeah,
interviews.
probably other interviews of like
She was saying things like Jim was this and Jim was
Yeah.
that.
No, I'm assuming like if they got married, like in 53 or something.
There's probably so many interviews of her talking about him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I'm assuming. Well, I guess it wouldn't be impossible for her to still be around now, but she'd be really up there.
Yeah.
Like I didn't realize how old Jim was, or not. I guess. Well, yeah, I guess how old, but how early in the 20th century he was born. I just always assumed. I don't know why. I assumed he was like roughly the age of our parents, or at least my parents, as opposed to older. A generation before that. Yeah.
Yeah. I was just gonna respond to what you were saying, Alex, because I think it is a cautionary tale. Like, as a person who hasn't died yet from my obsession of my craft, knock on wood, that's not what's gonna happen. But like, I've like worked myself to the point of like burnout 3 times, and like I would consider like my sciatica and my chronic pain is something that is caused from like this overworking. And of course, there's like a part of me that's like, no, like I should like set boundaries with myself and set boundaries with my work. But I think it's difficult when like people uphold systems. Like, I can only speak to theater, but what I can imagine also in film and TV, of like working long hours, not quitting until you're done things. Like Jim Henson was perpetuating that. Like, he was setting that example. Whether or not he was expecting other people he works to do it, he was like, this is what it takes to be great. And I'm like, I don't know. Now I'm like, listen, we lived through a pandemic. The world's falling apart. Like, I don't know if we need to do it like that anymore, Jim. Like, and I wonder I would love to sit down for like one of those like dinners with like a dead person and like ask him, like, would you do it differently? Like, would you do it differently knowing that you can still get all that success, all that work done, if you could just like not do it that way? And I wonder what he would say. Because I
wonder, could he though?
Well, if he lived another like 30, 40 years and he was able to pace himself,
right?
I don't know, maybe. I don't. And then he was experimenting with like CGI, right? Like, he could have been like a trailblazer in like that, in that regard too. Like, I don't know. I feel like if he was still around, maybe, I don't know. I just think, I like to think that art can be created from people who are taking care of themselves. Yeah. Like, I always go back to like Hemingway. I love Hemingway. I think Hemingway is one of the best writers ever. But the fact that he had to like get drunk all the time before he wrote, I'm like, I want to challenge that idea. I want to challenge that artists can work in a sober mindset, that they can work in a healthy way, work in a balanced way, work in a way with community, and not just like, this is my thing, I gotta do it until it's you know, like
Yeah,
but that
can we
does
think,
not
like,
negate
are there any artists that have done that we can think of? Because like all the people that I'm thinking of have lived variations, I feel, of the Jim lifestyle. Like I mentioned, Walt Disney and Houdini and like Steve Jobs. It definitely seems like the impression is that the path to success is like literally let it kill you, the amount of work. And I want to believe that that's not the case, but I'm also hard pressed to think of an example. And like maybe it's us, maybe we set the example, but if we don't, who has?
I think there are a lot of non-famous artists that have done that. Like I think of like Pablo Picasso's wife. Like she was not well known until she was dead. And even now, like I only know her now from the fact that he stole a lot of her work. But like she, to me, from reading her like just like little snippets of her life, I'm like, she seems like she had a balanced life, but she's not famous for a variety of reasons. But like she seemed like she had a balanced life, taking care of her kid, being part of a community, living pretty into old age. I think there's a lot of artists who like don't care about fame that end up doing it healthily and doing it to sustain their entire life. But we don't know those people because we know the people who like hustle and grind and like they're applauded for all of that energy.
Well, then you got guys like George Miller, the famous film director, who's done Mad Max and Happy Feet. And he started off as an ambulance driver or a paramedic in an ambulance. I'm not sure, one of those. But
Pretty
then
different things, but okay.
No, I think he was the paramedic and his film partner was the ambulance driver. And they started making Mad Max 1. And I guess since the success of that, every, 8 to 10 years, he cranks out a movie. And, like when Mad Max Fury Road came out in 2014, he really showed everyone how it's done. And he's like, hey, guys, I'm 70 years old. Cranked out a great movie that people are going to talk about till the end of time. And at the age of 80, he just put out Furiosa.
Wow.
So I guess that's longevity. He's playing the long game. He takes his time.
Yeah.
And maybe he's cracked the code.
Maybe. I mean, we don't know all the details.
Yeah, I want to know his lifestyle, because you do have some people like Keith Richards and Bob Dylan who just like abuse their bodies, abused so many people in their lives, and they're like so fucking old, and you're like, how are you standing? So like I mean, I guess it's a combination of genetics too, but
yeah, very important.
But I feel like Daniel Day-Lewis is someone who
I was gonna say
kind of stuff, like maybe he pieces himself.
Yeah, we don't know the details, right? He's interesting because he's a pretty private person, right, outside of his film career. So that's something, but that's because it always like there's always the rub. Like it's like, okay, I mean, we don't need to keep digging till we find what's wrong, but just even having like just kind of a basic picture of like, okay, like, I don't think there's one like recipe for what a healthy version of like creativity and artistry looks like. I think even in Jim Henson, I think something, because like Lisa, you were talking a couple times, you mentioned this idea of like community. And I think Jim Henson probably, it seemed like he kind of had that. Like it seemed like he was one of his strengths was bringing people together and finding people who are like-minded, not necessarily I mean, who knows, it's quite likely that they were all workaholics. I mean, you have actors and people in the biz, like they're it only makes sense, but still it didn't seem like it seemed like it was a culture, and you had his son commenting on this too. There was like a culture of fun, and it was and he was constantly described, I know it's biased, but he was constantly described as like kid-like, and innocent and youthful, right? So like I'm that's not to say that he probably was doing it healthily. That's just to say that I think that we can take that aspect and say, okay, that's a good thing. That's a healthy thing that Jim had going on for himself, and the way he worked. He wasn't a solitary, isolated artist. He was totally open, receptive to help. One of his first partners was his future wife. Like he seemed like very collaborative, very much, about building community, very much about promoting positivity, right? And then, you know, there's other people that, like, you know, you think of that maybe, you know, maybe George Miller's an example, but like people who both because of good fortune, because they were fortunate enough to make enough money, you know, with whatever project, that they didn't actually have to worry about working themselves to death for financial reasons, you know. And it sounds like Jim Henson for the most part was driven by his creativity and not his like need to make money. But you know, there's, you know, maybe somebody like George Miller, you know, made enough money with his early success of Mad Max that he was able to dedicate his life to still pursuing his passion. But it just so happened that maybe his passion is, I don't know, but we're assuming now, maybe his passion is his wife or his children or his filmmaking, but he's not, you know, that's what passionate filmmaking looks like when you're not, you know, stressed or propelled by the need to come out with the next big thing or whatever. You take your time, you read some books, you watch some films, you let the inspiration soak in, whatever, right? So it's like, I think there's some people who are lucky in a real sense where they're able to afford to pursue what really motivates them in a way that kind of, not by their design, it just happens to work out
Yeah.
or less healthy for them.
I think that was one thing that surprised me or that I found interesting was that the trajectory of his career just seemed to be that like in addition to his creativity and his work ethic, in some ways he was just kind of like right place, right time. Like television was more or less a new thing. He jumped on that,
Yeah,
and
he found an audition in the paper or whatever, right? Like an ad in the paper, like, oh, they're looking for this puppeteer.
I didn't realize like what an outside of the box alternative filmmaker he was, and it all makes sense now. Like Sesame Street makes a lot more sense to me now, having seen his early work and like those weird montages and everything. And I feel, especially in film school, I encountered a lot of people who made kind of similar work, and Jim is really interesting to me now, just contextualizing it as though like here's that type of creative who fell into a position where he was given a lot of money and a lot of opportunity to do that, but in a mainstream context, like with Sesame Street. And then that just kind of progressed to other things where he definitely had to do things to make money, but still had a lot more creative freedom, I think, than maybe even people would today. But I feel he is very much like just one of those situations where let's give this creative mind all the resources that he needs to make things and see what happens.
Yeah.
And some of it flopped, like Dark Crystal and Labyrinth, which I'm really interested to revisit.
Oh my God. I love Labyrinth so much.
I'm excited to rewatch it. I didn't grow up with it. I found it when I was in high school, and it wasn't as good as I wanted it to be. But I'm interested in it. I'm like,
I mean, I know we're watching Labyrinth.
Yeah, right? That's the finale.
That's the finale. I just watched Labyrinth a few months ago. Like I never watched it before.
Well, really?
Oh,
and I watched it with like an Uber fan who could like recite every word. So maybe I have like a very like skewed version, but I loved it. Like it was anyway.
I remember thinking, what's going on? Why is this girl here? Where's her backstory? Give me more exposition on it.
It's Jennifer Connelly. You don't need any backstory.
Yeah. Wherever she's there, it's good.
Fine. I buy it.
Why is her brother almost 20 years younger than her? Like, why?
She's 14.
Why does he want a baby?
Would he?
Why does David Bowie want this baby? And we'll get there.
Yeah.
3 weeks.
We'll get there. We'll get there.
What did everyone think of the little snippets we saw of his alt films? I watched Timepiece right before we went live today, and I really enjoyed it, which was a shock because I don't really usually like alternative films, but I loved it.
Help
really
me.
Loved it. Help.
Please help.
Help.
I don't know anything about them except from what I saw in the documentary, but it's something that I would be like interested in exploring and probably would be really into. Like I love like shorter, weirder things from like artists' work that I think I know their aesthetic, but then they like do something different. I think like that's what keeps like him as an artist interesting, like interested in his own work, right? By doing all those like weird things. So
it was so cool because you can kind of see I don't want to say you see the seeds of the Muppets because you don't, but the vibes, the energy
Mm.
is definitely there in terms of the pacing and the absurdity. Yeah, it was really, really interesting. And I think I liked it because usually my issue with alternative films is that, and this might be an unpopular opinion, I don't want you to have to tell me what it means. Like, I want the thing to be able to speak for itself in some capacity. Yeah, and I appreciated his film because it is very strange, but at the same time, you can kind of tell what the intention is. You can feel what the message could be or what's being explored, as opposed to just like, here's a bunch of flashy colors, and if you don't know what's going on, that's on you. This is my film school trauma, I guess, coming back. But it's like the type of alt film that makes me appreciate, okay, this is how a non-linear narrative or even a lack of narrative can still convey a meaning, which I found really exciting. And just completely through visuals and sounds, like the pacing and the soundtrack is so good. And it feels very like an adult version of those weird, wacky Sesame Street interludes that they used to. Yeah. I didn't realize how weird Jim was. But it makes sense.
The documentary did a good job of I think, like, definitely just emphasizing that, just the absurdity, the wackiness, his whether it's his, they went into a little bit, not too much, but they went into his magnum opus of the dance club with different projections everywhere, and it's like,
Sesame Street.
yeah. So that was very interesting too. And like I mentioned earlier, like that idea of how much, like, how his life just ended up being more or less dedicated, to this one kind of thing, where he seemingly and allegedly had all of these other different things that he was always thinking about and, passionate about and stuff. And then just an interesting, but at the same time, he wasn't suffering. It didn't seem, he wasn't like he was sitting there being like, I want to do all these things, but I'm stuck doing Muppets. It's like he was like, I want to do all these things. I guess I'll do Muppets. And like,
yeah, well, I think Dark
Muppets
Crystal was the example of him breaking away from that and trying to do something more aligned with what his passions were.
Yeah, I don't remember if because I know he had, I don't remember if Dark Crystal was one of those movies where he was working with whatever company and they gave him like permission to make, because I know there was that one instance they talked about in the documentary where it's like he got hired on to do whatever show and they gave him the budget and everything, and then they said, you will also let you do 2 films or something, and he did like 2 films in addition to whatever. I don't remember if it was Sesame Street or what, but so I don't remember if Dark Crystal was that, or if Dark Crystal was like at a later point where he had legitimately maybe taken a break or something from some of the other projects, but anyway, I agree. Like we did, but I still think, I don't think Dark Crystal was like, I'm not sure we would have gotten, like, it seems to me that the beginning of the Muppets was very much like, it wasn't Jim Henson being like, I know what I'll do, I'll create Muppets. It seemed like it was more so like, I want to be into film, I guess I'll build puppets and get into this position to be in film. Oh, they really like my puppet things. I don't really care about puppets. I don't dislike puppets. Puppets are great, but they're meaningless to me. I just want to be in film. And what I mean? So it's like, I'm not sure we would have gotten Dark Crystal had he not been kind of slotted in that direction. And I'm sure we could have gotten all kinds of other crazy stuff. And that's also the curiosity too, of like,
well, I think Dark Crystal was like at that point where he knew his career had been built on him being the puppet person. And so he was in a spot creatively and financially where he was like established as, okay, I have the money, I have the reputation. Since puppets are the thing I'm doing, how can I break away from what Muppets are, still use puppets, and try to do something completely different? And yeah, but I mean, I haven't seen Dark Crystal, but I found it really weird that they said there was a version of the movie where they were just speaking gibberish.
Yeah, the first versions that I guess, I don't know if it was just it was screen testing. They were saying, like people didn't like in the screen test because like, I don't find that weird. I just I find that interesting-ish, but
If it was just a bunch of puppets speaking nonsense to each other and moving around the screen for an hour plus, I would also walk out of that test screen.
I don't know that I would. I don't know if I would. I'd be like, I just treat it like I have a telescope into like some alien planet.
It's going back to what I said like 10 minutes ago.
Well, hang on.
Films, where it's like, don't show me a bunch of colors and then leave it up to me and make it my
no,
Matt,
or what? It's
you guys all sat through the Slovakian Alice in Wonderland, and that's basically what you just described.
No, it was great. The Slovakian Alice was amazing.
Where's Jeanette to give the white rabbit, the silly rabbit in Polish or whatever?
Oh yeah, the rabbit, the taxidermied rabbit that kept taking its stuff.
No, but but the girl's little close up of her mouth calling it a silly rabbit, or white rabbit. Yeah, but no, we need
Kravitz.
What a good movie that was. I love it.
Yeah, that's a great movie. It was a great movie.
It was. And the Jim Henson Creature Shop made the puppets for that other Alice movie that only I liked.
Oh yeah.
Alex, the first thing you said was, "What an awful movie." When we started.
I don't remember.
No?
I remember the animated film. I remember Billy Crowley.
Whoopi Goldberg was in it. She was the Cheshire Cat.
Oh,
Martin
my
Short
memory stirs. I was born inside a chair.
Okay. Yoda for Mark also brings up a really Yoda for Mark has brought up lots of great points. But I want to focus on this one. Oz and Henson should be considered the greatest comedy teams of all time.
One of the greatest.
One of. I
fully,
because because it's not. I almost feel like each of their character duos is a comedy team unto themselves. So just in terms of prolificness, like they have
they made so much stuff, and so much of it was based in humor.
Yeah, Bert and Ernie, Kermit and Piggy. Mark's not here tonight. Hopefully he'll be here for at least one of these shows because he's like probably the biggest Muppet fan that I know, as well as the most knowledgeable. But one of the points that he's made on the podcast that Jeanette is also a part of on We Like Theme Parks is that, and I'm going to paraphrase it and probably not get the heart of his argument totally right, but I remember him saying that Piggy and Kermit, their dynamic doesn't work now as well, at least because we don't have Frank Oz and Jim doing the characters, and the relationship dynamic of those two really only worked with their specific chemistry. And you lost at least half of the duo, and now both of the duo, the weird sort of toxicness of that relationship doesn't read in a way where
it's not cute.
Like it's not cute. It's not as cute as it used to be. Like the love.
Okay. We'll get a large language model to fix that right up for us. We'll get back to the old good stuff.
That's all we want. Yeah. Anyway, any other thoughts before we go to the game? Tonight's game is weird, just so you know. Very strange. It's a very strange game.
No.
I really liked the Muppet movie. I've never seen it before.
Well, we didn't really talk about the Muppet movie with you, did we, Lisa?
No.
We kind of pivoted. Yeah.
Sorry.
Oh, good. It's all good.
Was that your movie's over now?
Muppet movie?
That was the first time I ever watched it. Yeah. I was not a big Muppet person growing up. So my only Jim Henson
I agree, Alex.
exposure was Sesame Street, I guess.
Oh,
that's it. Yeah. So watching the Muppets this week was like really interesting because like I knew of Kermit and Miss Piggy and all these other characters, but it was so cool to see them in their natural habitat
element. Yes.
Yeah.
I recommend all three of you watch the Muppet Caper, even though I don't think any of you are here for next week. You have no productive reason to watch it outside of your own joy.
Okay.
Please watch The Great Muppet Caper. It's my favorite Muppet movie. It's
the fact that all of the Muppets are on Disney Plus is insanity.
I know, except there are a couple that aren't. Muppets in Space isn't because it's still owned by Sony. Muppets are one of those weird things where they're like owned by different people, but they're mostly owned by Disney.
Interesting.
Yeah, like Sesame Street is not owned by Disney, which is also weird because they are kind of Muppets, but not legally anymore. I feel like Fraggles might also be a similar situation because the
Fraggles were they Canadian only?
Yoda for Mark, chime in. I feel like Yoda for Mark would know. Yoda for Mark actually mentioned Fraggle Rock. Yes, well, Canadians Fraggle Rock was a huge influence because it was on CBC. Yeah, I do think it was co-produced.
Oh, it was only on HBO in the States. Okay. That explains why so few Americans know what the hell Fraggle Rock is.
There we go.
Hubbo.
Get your cares away. Worries for another day. Let the music.
Now, what's how do the Fraggles fit into the greater lore? Is this like Muppet Hell or?
Well, there is one piece of media that connects all of it.
Okay.
Yes, it is Muppet Family Christmas, which actually Yoda for Mark mentioned earlier on this evening. Let me see if I can find it. Basically, Muppet Family Christmas. Here we go. It mixes Sesame Street, Fraggles, and the Muppet Show. So the concept.
So that's like the Avengers of the Muppet universe.
It is. It's the Avengers of the Muppet universe. They all go to Fozzie's mom's house for Christmas, and they want to surprise Fozzie's mom. But Fozzie's mom was planning to go on a tropical vacation for Christmas, and she was like, well, I'll just rent out my house to this old man and his dog while I'm gone. But then they're like, surprise, we're here. So she has to stay, but she's also committed to like Airbnb-ing essentially her house to this old guy and his dog. The old guy and his dog, I think, exist in the Fraggle universe. And so the Muppets are there with the man who lives in like the Fraggle house. So the Fraggles are kind of incorporated. Then the Sesame Street characters just show up caroling, and then they're in the house as well. And then they accidentally go too far into the basement and discover Fraggle Rock. So it's all the things.
Oh, cool.
So it's Narnia. It's Muppet Narnia.
It's Muppet Narnia. Can you imagine how good Muppet Narnia would be?
I don't have to imagine. Just gotta
It's
put
there.
on Fraggle Rock.
If only Jim was still alive, guys.
He could be making a lot of Muppet universes.
Here's the thing. Disney needs to stop kicking the dead horse that is Star Wars and move to these bountiful fields, these green pastures that are the Muppet deeper lore.
Disney just needs to get like good writers and directors and keep doing Star Wars.
They are.
No.
This is good right now, Alex.
They need to be creating new content, like new movies, new voices, new
Star Wars. That's what I said.
They need to fund my show. That's what they need to do. I'll get to the bottom.
I am all for you having a cameo in the next Star Wars trilogy. All right.
Hey,
I want to.
I can live with that.
Yeah.
Don't sell out, Vince. Don't sell out.
You can be a mystery investigator in the Star Wars universe.
I would actually love to have Vince just showing up on a Star Wars planet for his paranormal show.
What's the deal with the Force anyway? Is it fishing wire? Is it?
Well, it'll be in the next Star Wars Christmas special. We'll have.
Okay, well, once we start talking about the Force, it's time for the game. Okay, so for tonight's game, this might go south. It might be horrible, but here we are. What we're gonna do is it's kind of two parts. The first part is that I will give each of you 1 minute to make a puppet out of things you have within an arm's reach, whether it's a sock or something. You will need this puppet for the game. You have 1 minute to fashion a puppet. Your time starts now.
Oh my god, this is so exciting.
Yeah.
I love this.
Fashion a puppet. This puppet must be able to perform as part of the game.
Okay, we're good. We got this. We should have 2 minutes.
Okay, you have 2 minutes. You have 2 minutes to fashion a puppet.
Thank you.
And while we wait, I will sing the Fraggle Rock theme song.
Yes.
Dance your cares away. Worries for another day. Let the music play. Down to Fraggle Rock. That's all I know. Why are there so many songs about rainbows? And what's on the other side? Rainbows are visions, but only illusions. Rainbows have nothing to hide. So we've been told, and some choose to believe it. I know they're wrong, wait and see. Someday we'll find it, the rainbow connection. The lovers, the dreamers, and
Oh, shit.
me. All of us under its smell. We know that it's probably magic. Oh yeah, Yoda's right. I got demonetized because my Kermit impression was too good. They'll think it's the track owned by Disney.
Okay.
Have that. Okay, does everyone have their puppet?
Yes.
More or less.
Okay, let's have a puppet reveal. We'll start with Vince. Please introduce us to your puppet, or have your puppet introduce themselves.
Do I have to name him?
No, he has to tell us his name in his voice. Well, there we go.
Improv.
Okay. Hey folks, my name's Glovo. I'm a glove that's stuffed with a blanket and a dust brush. So, you know, I'm no Rolf with a basketball, half a basketball or anything. I don't even have a real orifice to speak out of, but that's life in the big city, right? Glovo.
All right, we got Glovo. Let's bring in our next puppet for this game. Alex, introduce us to your puppet, please, or have your puppet introduce themselves.
I'm Flem.
Nice. Okay, we got Glovo, we've got Flem, and Lisa.
She's a little shy. Come on. Come on out. Hold on. Let me just 1 sec.
Okay.
It's okay. Okay. She's making her entrance. Ready? Okay. It's okay. They like you. It's fine. Are you sure? Yeah, they're cool.
Yay!
Hi.
Hi.
No, I'm Phoebe. The I don't really know what I am, but I'm Phoebe.
Yay, Phoebe!
Yeah, Phoebe.
Hey, Phoebe.
It's okay. You can come out.
Oh, Phoebe, you're so good. You're so good. All right. So how tonight's game is going to work is one at a time. Two of you and your puppets will close your eyes. I will give the puppet who is in the spotlight the title of a film that we have discussed on this very show over the past few seasons. And your puppet just has to act out that movie and get someone else to guess the name of the movie.
Okay.
So it's kind of like charades, but you're allowed to talk. You're just not allowed to say any of the words that are in the title of the film, as it were.
Okay.
But you can create scenes. If it's a musical, you can sing the songs. Yeah. So we just need the puppets to recreate the movies that they are assigned to. Which puppet will go first? I think Glovo. Is that his name?
Okay. Yeah. Glovo's about ready to go. I'm just giving him a little update here.
Okay. Let us know when he's ready.
You're heighting me. No, relax. It's gonna be okay.
Okay. All right. So all puppets and people who are not Glovo and Vince, please divert your eyes. There we go. All right. So Glovo, yours. Here we go. That is what yours shall be. Did you see it?
Okay, now run me through this again. Yes, I saw it. So I have to
you need to
make
recreate.
someone get this movie using Glovo's voice.
Glovo needs to act out this movie or charade this movie, do anything that Glovo needs to do to get them to say the title of this movie.
Okay, but Glovo can speak.
Glovo can speak, yes.
Okay.
Okay, so wait, hold on. I'm going to spotlight you. Let me see. How do I do this? Hold on. How do I do this? Oh, yeah, this is what I want. And then you're going to go, there we go. Okay, all eyes on Glovo and Vince. Action.
Okay.
Hey, Glovo, have you seen any good movies lately? Yeah. You know, I watched this one movie where they chopped his daughter's arms off and replaced them with tree branches.
Titus and Andronicus.
Wait, Lisa, did you say it first?
Yeah.
Oh,
Lisa
did
gets
you? What
the
did you
point.
say?
It's a Taste Andronicus.
I didn't sound like that, but okay.
I heard. Something.
Okay.
We can both get the point.
Oh no! If you said it, I just thought you said like Reese's Pieces or something. I don't know. It just didn't. It just sounded like nothing like Tyson Andronis to my ear. But if that's what you said,
Alex,
then
you're getting
good.
side eye from Phoebe.
I thought it was lime eye, half a lime eye.
Wow. You're really gonna let him call you Lime Eye?
The shade.
What? Come at me.
Wow.
All right.
He
Well,
does not like y'all.
Alex, it's your turn and your puppet's turn. It's Flem's turn. So all puppets and humans who are not Alex and Flem, please look away. This is your film.
All right.
We may now look. Action.
So there's this poor lady and this guy who likes the way words sound and people talk, but not the way she talks. And he's like, "Go away!"
Yes.
Yay!
Good one.
It's Phoebe's turn to shine. Look away, all puppets and humans who are not them.
Okay, you got it, Phoebe? Oh, okay, we got this.
Okay, we can look now. Action.
Two households, both alike and
Romeo
Romeo and
and
Juliet.
Juliet.
Vince gets it.
Good job.
Good job. All right. Look away, those who are not Glovo and actually, I don't know if you've seen this movie. Well, I'm going to assume you did. There we go.
Yeah, I saw this.
Okay, we can look now. Action.
Hey, Glovo, have you seen any good movies lately? Yeah, I watched this one movie directed by this Greek guy, and Emma Stone was in it, and she was fucking the whole time.
Vince, are you doing Ed the Sock?
It was grotesque. No, this is Glovo, not Ed the Sock.
I feel like you're doing Ed the Sock.
Not doing Ed the Sock. Now, Glovo did Ed the Sock when they were college roommates, but that's a whole other story. That's...
Did I get it right?
That's my story to tell.
Yeah. You
Okay.
you got it. It's Alex.
I'm waiting for.
It's Alex's turn. Okay. Look away. There we go.
All right, I got it.
Yeah, we can look now. Action.
So two households, but in like New York or something. Oh God, I'm adopting Glovo's accent.
West Side Story.
Yes.
There you go.
Wow, good job.
Yeah, I was gonna
I
say
liked that review.
That's the Glovo voice. That's the Glovo.
Kind of.
little
It's more nasally, more phlegm-like. But
Phoebe, it's your time to shine. Look
I'm
away.
ready. I like this game. Oh shit. Okay.
We can look now. Action.
There's a bisexual wife who wants to be polyamorous. So,
Oh, Past Lives.
no,
Oh,
bisexual
oh no, it's the Anatomy of a Fall.
Yes.
Yes!
But that also applies to Past Lives and Challengers.
Well, no, we do not know the sexuality of the woman in both of those movies because she's just loving on two men. So maybe she is straight.
I mean,
Oh,
that is
good
a
point,
kind
good
of
point.
bisexuality.
There are two
two
types
men.
of sex can happen. Yeah,
That's right.
Yeah. Should have had that. We should have had that discussion months ago.
I know.
Maybe we did. I can't remember what we talked about for it now. No, past lives. Sadness mostly.
So sad.
Mostly sadness. All right, who's next? Oh yeah, are we back to Glovo?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're back to Glovo.
It's my time. It's my time to shine.
Look away if you're not Glovo. All right. We can look now. Action.
Hey, Glovo, have you seen any good movies lately? Yeah, around a year ago, I watched these two movies in one day. One was
Barbie and Oppenheimer.
No. Well, one of them, the one I liked more was about war crimes.
Oppenheimer.
I don't get it, but okay.
I miss Jeanette too.
Imagine Jeanette's puppet.
I
Jeanette would have made such a funny puppet.
miss Jeanette.
I'm glad Alex's puppet didn't. Oh, that's inappropriate. Okay. Look away if you're not Alex and Alex's puppet.
Is that a hint that you want to see my pant pockets?
No. Okay.
Got it.
We can look now. Action.
All right. So this movie is it's Pocahontas, but not really, but it is. And it's the second one.
Avatar 2, The Way of Water.
Yes.
Okay.
Very good. Very good. I was hoping you would say she was a composer of great songs, Wales, all that fun stuff.
Lydia Tarr?
What do they call them?
What?
They had a name for the whales.
Oh. They
What
were
was the
like
name?
Tolkien's?
Yeah, Tolkien's.
Tolkien's.
Yeah, I heard the name of Tolkien.
Everyone,
fans.
Phoebe, our favorite Phoebe's back. Here we go. Look away, look away.
Oh.
We can look now. Action.
Hi, Ken. Hi, Ken.
Barbie.
Oh,
All right.
Got it.
Oh, I don't know if Vincent the Glove saw this. Well, we'll find out. Look away if you're not
the
Vincent.
glove. Is that all I am to you? A glove. You know what my people have been through. Okay.
Okay, you can
This
look.
movie, I have not seen this movie, but I know Matt really likes it a lot. And you're dealing with the king of the jungle in the coldest of seasons.
A
King
cat
Kong?
in winter.
The king of the jungle.
Oh,
In
Lion
the-
and Winter. Lion and
Lion.
Winter.
Oh, the king of the jungle is the tiger, not the lion.
No, it's
No.
not.
Lion's the king of the savannah. I'm the king
Lions,
of the.
if I was the king of the forest, that's Wizard of Oz.
Was.
Sure, yeah, the forest, not the jungle.
Well, okay.
King of
I
the
don't
jungle
know.
is Shere Khan. That's literally his name. That's what it means.
Semantics.
I love Shaka Khan.
Words are just words. Words are words.
That's true. Words are just words.
All right, so our points are Vince has 4, Lisa has 4, and Alex has 2. What do we
Good
want to
job,
wager?
Phoebe.
Good job, Phoebe. Let's see. Vince, what would you like to wager for the bonus round?
I'm a gambling man. I'm gonna bet it all. That's how I ended up on the streets.
Phoebe?
How many do we have?
4.
We're gonna bet it all.
Okay. Alex? /
All
Flem?
of it.
All of it? Okay. I haven't actually decided what the bonus question is, so bear with me. Oh, okay.
This is a mistrial.
No, I got it. Okay. All right. The first puppet to shout out the answer will have their point total or their wager added to their point total. So only one of you will get this, all right? And shout it out when you know it, if you know it. Okay.
Okay.
What is the name of Sherry Lewis's trademark?
Lamb chop. Lamb chop.
Ah,
Baby, you
chop.
won!
Lamb chop.
Where kids come to play along and fun
I love
things.
lamb chop.
All we
A lot of you don't know this, but that lamb chop was a real floozy back in puppet college.
Word.
Shame.
I tell you, Globo's got all the real Hollywood stories here.
Shame.
Kind of on that note, if you want to see inappropriate lamb chop, Sherry Lewis's daughter Mallory has done cabaret acts with lamb chop kind of being X-rated, maybe not X-rated, but definitely like R-rated for the adults, and it feels very wrong, but it's hilarious. So I'll send the link in the group chat. There we go. Thank you. Well played. Well done, puppets. Well done. Congratulations, Lisa. So far, you're in the lead for Henson Month trivia. So well done.
I'm so honored.
I hope Phoebe comes back. I hope all these puppets come back. I'd love to see Glovo again. Yeah.
Oh, hang on. So you're saying all the future games will involve puppets in some
That
fashion?
wasn't the intention, but now that I've said it, I think I have to commit.
Okay.
Also, it means that Jeanette will have to make a puppet whenever Jeanette gets back, which I think is next week. So
Good
yeah,
to know.
now you know.
Glovo might get a tune-up in the next week then.
I can't wait to see it, and I'll make a puppet too. Actually, I don't have it anymore. I came up with that game because that was played during lockdown times. My friends had a virtual baby shower. One of the games was make a puppet out of something just ocean themed in the next 90 seconds. And I made a very impressive fish puppet with a Disney World bag. Like basically, I think I just like stuffed paper into the bag and tied like tape around my wrist so that the tail was like jutting out behind it. It was a very good fish puppet for 90 seconds. See if I can recreate that as my puppet. Yeah. But anyway, there we are. Anyway, closing thoughts on Jim Henson and Muppet Month / weird flop movie month for the second half of this programming. We'll start with Lisa.
He's a great guy. He's a human. He should have lived longer. And I think Kermit's nephew is the cutest puppet in the Muppet movie. Just saying.
Great.
So precious.
Cutest moment for me was this is the patriotic part. Should we stand up? No.
Yeah, it was so precious. So cute. What's his name? What's the nephew's name?
Robin.
Ramen. Oh.
Yeah, and he plays Tiny Tim in Muppet Christmas. So you get to see him die.
Oh no.
Yeah. It's actually
sad.
It's really sad when that puppet dies because they have a little frog-sized crutch that they put down on like his chair when he's dead. It's very sad.
Oh my god, Vince, we need to watch that
Yes.
next Christmas.
Let's do it for Christmas.
It is the best Christmas Carol movie, not just because of Muppets, but like I have a video. I'll send it to you.
It's like Vince's family watches like a Christmas Carol every year, and wasn't last year the one that we watched, the Mickey Mouse one?
Oh, Mickey's Christmas Carol, nice.
Well, I think we specifically watch Mickey's Christmas every year.
Oh,
but
but
maybe the one where the ghost of Christmas yet to come is smoking a fat blunt.
Oh yeah, that's Mickey's Christmas Carol. Yeah. So that,
you'll watch
it. It'll be great. I might program it into our Christmas programming this year.
Oh, cute.
Yes.
Perfect.
Yes. Vince, closing thoughts on tonight's films.
You know what? I like Muppets now more than I did a few weeks ago. So I think they got the job done. I've been watching old Muppet commercials from like the 50s and 60s. Very amusing. I don't know what to say to that, but I love it so much. And I think there's a lot of credibility to that argument without even having heard it. So, oh my goodness. Okay, let's get into that. And on that note, Matt, your love for the Great Muppet Caper has it's kind of swayed me over. Put me down as a maybe for next week.
Yes, I will.
Yes.
Am I not involved? Did I not sign up?
No, I think you said you were busy.
Oh yeah, I'm seeing Sarah McLachlan that day.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Who sings I Will Remember You?
I will remember you.
Put me down for a definite. I will be reviewing Muppet Caper that night.
Remember me. Don't let your life pass you by. Weep not for the memory. Don't worry. I'm going with my friend Yolanda, so it's okay.
Fantastic.
Vince does not need to come.
You'll have the best time. The only thing that could maybe hold a candle to Sarah McLachlan is Great Muppet Caper. But Sarah, I respect that as a proud
Good number two.
I thought you were going to say Canadiana, but okay.
Well, no, that's another show for another time. Alex, what are your closing thoughts on the movie that you watched?
Liked it. I think it's. I'd recommend it to both Muppet fans who haven't seen it yet, of course, and non-Muppet fans, because I wasn't a Muppet fan really. Like I wasn't an anti-Muppet guy, but I didn't care about the Muppets. And watching it was fascinating. And I mean, even if I genuinely am interested in consuming more Muppet content, but even without that, just I think the story that it tells is very interesting on its, without also throwing in that oh, I want to check out this history that the documentary exposes me to. And if you are a fan of Muppets and you haven't seen it yet, then it's possibly it's likely that you'll learn something very interesting and relevant to your interests that can maybe enhance what's already such a pleasure. So yeah, 2 thumbs up.
Agreed. I thoroughly agree with all that everyone said. I think it was a very well-crafted film just in and of itself. Like I loved it as a Muppet fan, but even, yeah, as you said, Alex, if I didn't have an investment in the Muppets or an interest in Jim Henson, I would have thoroughly enjoyed the movie. So agreed. I'm excited to embark on the next 3 weeks with all of you to look at some movies that have Muppets, some movies that don't, that probably should. Hashtag Dark Crystal. I'm sure my argument will probably be, I wish it had more Muppets, but there we are. So it's that time, everyone. Time to sign off. Tell everyone what you are up to, the exciting creative things you're doing in your life, or the exciting things you're doing to take a break from creativity. Because as this film taught us, work-life balance, very important. Let's start with Lisa. Oh, you're muted.
Sorry, wow. What a pre-2020 thing to do. Hi, everyone. I'm Lisa. You can follow me at Lisa_A_Alves for all things me. I'm a theater producer and a playwright in Toronto. I'm currently producing a theater workshop that's actually heading to St. Catharines. That has a lot of puppets, actually. It's called the Eighth Fire series, and there are bear puppets, porcupine puppets, bird puppets. It's amazing. Written by my friend who I'm going to see Sarah McLachlan with, Yolanda Bennell. So if you're in St. Catharines this weekend, message me and we'll see if you can come and see this amazing show. It's not fully puppets, but there are puppets in the show. So yes. Anyway, that's me. Can't wait to talk more Muppets in the coming weeks.
Yay. Bye. Thank you, Lisa. Enjoy, Sarah.
Oh, hey everyone. My name is Vince. I run a moderately unpopular show called Only Time Will Tell, but we're growing in popularity. I'm back. I'm getting views on TikTok again. Maybe it's just summer's upon us. People don't want to go outside because that's the age we live in. Who knows? It's good to be back, baby. Anyway, follow me on YouTube, Vinny Ridge Media. Vinny, as in the name, Ridge, as in a cliffside, Media, as in the thing that's poisoning all of our minds every waking moment. And will I be back next week to review the Great Muppet Caper and study the mystery of how Kermit caused 9/11? Only time will tell.
Yeah. You know me, and I just wanted to say Yoda for Mark, I think it was, made a comment about me a while ago, and this one's for you.
Okay, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for the first week. That almost happened. For the first week of the Jim Henson movie marathon. You can't see Alex, but I can. Join us next week where we are going to be discussing my personal favorite movie, as I have said many times throughout this evening, The Great Muppet Caper. If you haven't seen it, please go watch it. It is a gem of a film. It is hilarious. Like the Muppet movie, it has a ton of cameos. I would say even funnier cameos, if only because of the John Cleese scene, which is just comic gold. Yeah, my name's Matt. 2 degrees, teacup for one. Thank you for joining us. How do you end this?